More redheads nest here than any place else east of the Mississippi River. Horicon is a haven for wildlife. Mammals live in surrounding uplands, as well as the marsh itself. Though rarely seen, the playful fish-eating river otter finds a perfect home in this large protected wetland. Muskrats, on the other hand, are commonly observed. That's because the marsh is full of the muskrat's favorite food and house material, cattails. Cattails flourish in areas like the Horicon Refuge. In fact, the 32,000-acre Horicon Marsh is the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the U.S. But cattails can be a mixed blessing because they readily take over and become too thick to benefit a diversity of wildlife. However, as muskrats feed and build their dome-shaped houses, they help open up dense stands of cattails and create small open water areas in the marsh where ducks can rest and feed. And this provides access into cattails for some nesting ducks and other marsh birds. Today, Horicon National Wildlife Refuge is an undisturbed sanctuary for waterfowl and wildlife. But people almost destroyed this wetland before joining together to protect it. The marsh lies in a 14-mile-long basin, gouged out during the last ice age by massive glaciers. Brimming with birds and wildlife, the marsh was a magnet for native people who lived and hunted here for thousands of years with little negative impact upon the land. Some of the few remaining traces of early human life are curious earthen mounds constructed between 700 and 1200 AD. Made in animal and geometric shapes, these sacred mounds are thought to have been used for burial as well as ceremonies. Several Native American tribes lived near the marsh when the first European settlers arrived, mainly the Ho-Chunk, Potawatomi, and Menominee. Like native people before them, European settlers were drawn by the pristine, wildlife-rich waters of the marsh and the Rock River. Pioneers named the place Horicon, a Mohican word meaning pure, clean water. But unlike Native Americans, the new settlers looked at the wild marsh and imagined ways to tame it and profit from it. The first manipulation came in 1846. Settlers dammed the marsh's south end to provide power for mills, creating the largest artificial lake in the world. The dam was removed in 1869, and as the water receded and waterfowl returned, people saw another opportunity. In 1883, 2 exclusive shooting clubs were established on the marsh. In an early attempt to conserve waterfowl, the shooting clubs imposed rules on their members that were minor by today's standards. And there were no restrictions on market hunters who supplied succulent ducks to big city restaurants by the barrelful. By the early 1900s, overhunting and increasingly dry conditions devastated wildlife populations, and the marsh lost much of its wildlife. But soon, another scheme emerged. Developers decided to drain the marsh and turn it into a huge muck farm. In 1910, they used a huge steam-powered dredge to dig many ditches through the marsh, scars that can still be seen today. One conservationist later compared the ditching and draining to a vampire stream which bled the marsh white. He said it shred the Rock River to ribbons. But this ill-conceived plan also failed. The river-fed marsh could not be completely drained, and the exposed peat proved more flammable then fertile.